welcome everybody to the Athlete platform. For those of you who are just joining or who are just finding out about this movement, it is Athlete. Athlete is who you are after you're done with sports. It is the transition from being on the field, um, swimming, gymnastics, just whatever it is, you were into from an athletic perspective. It is now the transition moving from that to what it is you're going to be doing long term. And a lot of times in the real world, there's a very small percentage of people who you may relate to who have either played that varsity sport at a high level or who play collegiately or who play professional, or even if you yourself are not an athlete, but you've been around other athletes, or maybe even something similar like the military, right? Um, you look for those environments to where you have a place of belonging and you can learn from people who have been through what you've been through and who have seen what you've seen. So thank you for being here on behalf of myself, one of the founders here of Athlete, along with another founder and board of director, vice president, who is on the call, my great friend and business partner. I've known him longer than my daughter has been alive, and she's not that old, but he's been with
Yeah.
me through a big part of my life transition. And I'm definitely grateful and happy that he's able to join me on this mission moving forward. So, Brian, I won't take much of your time. You want to quickly introduce yourself? That'd be great. And then we'll keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, everybody. I'm Brian Kurian. I'm the vice president here at Athlete. I also own a couple other businesses because entrepreneurship is such a huge part of my life. It's something that I've loved for a long time. So, quick rundown of me and what attracted me to Athlete's mission. Um, the elevator pitches. I used to do mixed martial arts from the time I was 20 to 26. I'd actually trained for a couple of cage fights, did a couple of cage fights, um, went through a lot in my journey, learned a lot of skills that in that moment, sometimes I thought, well, this skill is only going to be useful in the ring, right? Or in the dojo or in the cage. As I kept progressing though, and I kept using my mind to think through it, it started hitting me that a lot of these skills are actually not just useful here in this fighting arena, this fighting environment. It's going to actually be useful in my sales career that I was involved in, and still am involved in. Been doing it for 2 decades. When I open a business someday, like I can use this with potentially my employees, my clients, etc. Building relationships. These are very crucial skills, and they're absolutely transferable. But I never had an organization like Athlete guiding me along and showing me how to leverage these skills into the next chapter, right? And now I'm soon to be 38, and I, basically stopped with my MMA career about 12 years ago. So I've been in that next chapter with, being a husband, being a father. I have two young boys, and just navigating the world. So we're hoping that we can do for others what probably JB and I always wish that we could have had for ourselves. Navigating these next chapters post sports career, post athletics. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, for sure. And Brian, you are a very pivotal part of this. And, just dating back to when I first started thinking and having thoughts about having something like this in play.
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure I had the right people who are passionate about a cause as such.
Sure.
And this is just amazing for us to be here now in today's date, October 17th, 2025. So this is great, man. Um, I'm going to move forward. So today's topic, if you're just joining, whether you're joining us here live, whether you're here on YouTube, whether you're seeing this replay on Facebook or any other social platform, wherever the comment box is, take some time, go to that comment box, go to the description box or whatever have you, and comment what sports you played, what level you played at, and what's your current profession? What are you currently doing? Because this segment, this workshop, is to add value. We don't just want to be here for purely motivation. We just don't want to be here to make you feel like, you can talk to like-minded people who have either played sports or who have been in those similar spaces as such. But we want to make sure that we're meeting everyone where they're at, and we can provide some tangible, practical, pragmatic, real life value, right? These are things that athlete really stands on, and is the core of all of our pillars, is that we want to be able to provide some of those tangible benefits moving forward. And today, we're going to work on discovering your transferable skills and what your transferable skills DNA looks like. Okay. So you're here for clarity and growth. Transition doesn't have to mean that you throw it all away and start over again, or you spent the last decade or even more for a lot of us playing a sport, training, waking up in the morning, staying up at night, following a strict schedule, not being able to have a job, missing out on some of those normal, quote unquote, normal life opportunities or experiences to be in the space to excel at your sport. And now that's over, whether it's recently over or whether it's been over now for years, or if it's been over for a few decades at this point, but you're still very attached to all of the sentiments around being an athlete, what that lifestyle entailed, and a lot of you still kind of feels that way when you walk around in life. And the good thing about that is that that is the core and the nucleus of everything that you'll need moving forward. And what we want to help do in this workshop is help you discover those answers and continue to discover those answers, and help you learn and understand how to frame everything that you have. And then, of course, how to use that moving forward. And if you're still here, drop one core trait or skill that you believe that you do have, that you've carried over from athletics to your real life. It can be anything as far as like discipline, resilience, tenacity. Even if you feel like it could be negative, right? Like anger, right? You get real passionate maybe about the things that you do, because something like that could, really transfer into being a really good business person, or really making things move and shake in real time, at least being a self-starter, right? And Brian, I don't know if you can, give some of your input on, maybe a skill or two that you feel
Yeah.
like you've transitioned over from your MMA career, and
Yeah.
in that way, right? Feel free to enlighten us on something that you think has resonated.
Yeah. So I shared this quick story with JB last week when we spoke. In the heat of the moment, I didn't realize, how special of a lesson this was. But as I went through it a little bit and kind of sat in it for a few days post lesson, it dawned on me this is absolutely going to be something I need to keep with me for the rest of my life. So, story goes like this. One day this was back when I was really in the thick of it, of training, fighting, getting prepared, was getting ready for my next upcoming fight. I was going to be in a 4-man tournament in Michigan. It was kind of a big deal. These were some of the top fighters from like the Metro Detroit area, the Tri County area. My coaches, pulled for me and kind of had my back and supported me and got me into the tournament. And so, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stuff that was associated with that. And I remember, man, I was going through fight camp. I had to drop like 20 pounds, so I could make weight for the weight class. And I'm going through it. I'm going through the training camp, and I was just having a tough day. I worked at Verizon Wireless at the time, pretty high pressure sales type of job. I must have had some negative client interactions because I was just in a mood. I was in a weird mood, and right after work, I had to go train. That was my life for a while, right? Work all day, then go as soon as work is done, go straight to the dojo, train for 2, 3 hours. If it was too late, if the classes were done, I'd have to, instead of going to the dojo, go to the gym, right? Because I'd work all different shifts at Verizon because it's retail. Go to the gym, sit in the sauna, lift weights, do whatever, like 6 days a week. That was my life when you're training for a fight. And this particular day, again, having a tough day at work, got into a little bit of a tiff with my parents, Lord knows about what, and just brought that negative energy with me into the gym, right? Into my training. And I'm sparring with my training partners, and I'm just getting rocked, right? My head's not in the game. I'm getting I'm getting embarrassed is what's happening, JB. I'm getting absolutely embarrassed. And my coach, Sean, made such a huge impact on me in the little bit of time that I knew the man. After the round is over, he pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey, man, what's going on with you? Where's your head at? Because it's definitely not here. Not today. What's happening?" And Sean was always so kind to me. He'd let me get it out, let me vent. I'd say, "Man, I got into a blow up with my dad, and I'm not feeling great. I had a tough day at work, and da 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 da. Whine, complain, complain, complain." He lets me get it all out, waits patiently, nods, "Yep, I understand. I know." Sean's a little bit older than me. Sean was probably at the time, if I was 26, I think 25, Sean was probably in his early 30s. He had a wife, he had a couple of kids. He is basically, in essence, where he was at where I am at today. Wife, two kids. He had a full-time job. He was just coaching us because he loved MMA. He wanted to still be involved in the sport. He wasn't there because he needed the money. He was there because he wanted to be there and he wanted to help us, right? Um, and Sean lets get it all out. And he says, "Hey, Brian, here's the thing, though. I know you're having a tough day. I know work wasn't great and you're not passionate about your job. I know you're going to blow up with your dad and your mom and this other stuff." But he said, "None of that stuff matters, dude. I don't care about any of that. Neither does anybody else, ever. Nobody cares." He said, "I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. When you are here, you need to be present and focused on what is happening around you and in front of you. Especially, dude, especially when you're in that ring. You are sparring with someone. You can get extremely hurt, if not worse, if your head's not in the game, if you drop your guard, if you're not paying attention, if your conditioning's off, if you're making excuses, if you're thinking about some other place or some other person. None of that stuff matters here, man. You have to be in the moment. You have to be locked in. It's a non-negotiable. You have no choice in that. Otherwise, there are very severe consequences. And I don't want to see you have to pay those consequences. I don't want anything to happen to you ever. Do you understand that?" I said,
Right.
"Yeah, man, I'm sorry. Obviously, I should understand that, dude. I'm not in here playing patty cake with this dude. We are fighting. Like, this is a war. And in a month, 2 months, I'm actually going to be in the cage with someone who's not my friend, who's not going to care about whether or not I get hurt, right? Like, we're we're fighting for a championship here. It's like real deal. It's serious business, right? And we're doing it for free, which is even kind of more crazy. I'm not even getting paid to be here right now. I digress.
I
And,
felt that way plenty of days, but yeah,
yeah, man.
way
You
before
mean I'm
what is it? They get paid now, way before NIL. So yeah,
man, I'm telling you. You mean I am paying to be subjected to excruciating amounts of pain, mentally and physically and spiritually. Oh my God, what is wrong with me, dude? And
right.
and then but just before he was about to start the timer and kind of nudge me back into the ring, he says something so profound to me. Taps me on the shoulder and he says, "Hey, Brian, before you get back in there, he's like, I want you to remember one thing. If you take nothing else from working with me and from martial arts and everything else, take this one thing." He said, "The idea of being laser focused, of being 100% present and focused on the task at hand, that it's not important to just do that in the gym or the dojo or whatever, or when you're going through a fight camp. You need to be able to have that skill everywhere you go, in your job, with your relationships. Um, if you ever have a family someday, with your kids, if you ever have a business, anything, dude. This is what separates like good from phenomenal. This is it. Most people are thinking about, like you did, I'm having a tough day at work, and then you carry it with you to the next place. Then you bring it home with you, right? And you take it out on your kids. You don't mean to, but you unintentionally, subconsciously do. And then it kind of messes up their evening and their day, and they want to be around you a little less and a little less and a little less. until all of a sudden the relationship with your kids aren't great. Relationship with your boss isn't great. Your clients don't really enjoy working with you anymore because you're bringing the nonsense from the other situation to this one. You're not really present. You're not really focused. Please, if not anything else, always be focused on what you're working on and what you're doing. Not because someone's throwing punches and kicks at you and because there's very painful consequences on the other end of this dude's fists and his kicks, but just no matter what you're doing, be there. Like be all the way there, right? And I said, you know what, man, I got it. You will never have to have this conversation with me again. Sorry. Won't happen again. And I really believe that's one of the few things that for sure has something that I've been able to embody and carry with me, especially in my business. You know, again, I have young kids, I have a wife, I have two companies, I have a lot going on. Most of you do too that are out there. It, you have to be here, man. None of that other stuff matters. It's all important, of course, but when I am here, I am here, not thinking about anything else. When I'm with my babies, I'm thinking about my babies. I'm doing my best not to think about my business and my nonsense and all this other stuff, right? And just I'm not perfect at it, but I do try to be aware of that, right? And conscientious of that.
Definitely. Brian, man, that's a great story. And I would assume that that following day or in those following moments when you were back at work, you were in a completely different frame of mind and you had, as I like to call it, a paradigm shift, right? So
Yeah.
now you're like, okay, the way that I'm objectively locked in, laser focused in the ring,
Hmm.
be that way in my dealings professionally, even when someone may trigger me from a mental or emotional space. Because
Yeah.
if
Of
if it was
course.
if it was a fist flying at my face, I would be locked in with my technique to block. So what's so different when a customer says something
Right.
far left to me or out of pocket to me? I still need to be I still need to be locked in my technique of building rapport, maintaining
Man.
resilience, all of it, right? So,
Man.
and it's interesting how easy we don't do that or think
Hmm. Hmm.
because
Hmm.
we're not aligning athletic skills or performance skills to
That's right.
talking to the cashier at the grocery store.
That's right. Well, and we look, man, we've talked about this example too, right? When you were out on the football field at University of Houston being a linebacker, smacking people in the mouth.
Now,
Um,
I wish I was big enough to be a linebacker, but I'm probably
what what position would you play again? Tell me.
so I played receiver for a semester, and then
Okay.
they shadowed me a bit at corner. So I got to try out both sides for a little bit until I had to finish up with track. Because I was a transfer athlete, which is a whole
Whole
nother
nother
thing.
bag.
Of
That's a whole nother bag, baby. Ooh, man. So
man,
when you were locking people down at corner, okay, I I am willing to bet, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am willing to bet there were people in the stands that had assumptions about you that, okay, you're on the team, you're playing this position because, and look how good you're playing because, well, obviously, look how big he is, look how fast he is, look how strong he is. Well, you know, look at this, look at, and that must be the reasoning, right? But they don't, if you never played sports before, you wouldn't be able to fully comprehend the mental aspect of it. The best corners, linebackers, whatever, MMA fighters, etc. Dude, they're students. I've noticed that. It's a common habit. Yes, practice matters. Being effective and locked in on game day matters. Of course, your nutrition, your exercise habits, of course, recovery, all these things you think about, of course. But they're watching film. They're trying to understand their opponent's strengths, weaknesses, tendencies. For you, where do they like to catch the ball? What are a
mhm.
couple of their favorite routes to run? The quarterback, where does he prefer to be in the backfield when he makes that pass? Does he like the three-step drop? Does he want more space in between and do a seven-step drop? Which way does he like to throw the ball? Where's his zones on the field that he tends to target the most effectively? Are there certain areas of the field that he hates throwing to because he's never accurate? or not nearly as accurate. You study that stuff. You study for little ticks and giveaways and mannerisms and their body language. You look for that stuff. You look for those subtle nuances and things. At least you should be. I did,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because looking for those types of habits in my opponent, because everybody's so different, they keep me safe. They hopefully. I never suffered. I'm one of the very few fortunate ones. I never suffered any sort of catastrophic injury. Nothing serious. I mean, some people. I got a couple of concussions, and me being me, I was like, "Nah, that's not serious. I'm fine. I'll walk that off. We'll just recover in a week or two. No big deal. It's just a head injury." But regardless,
It just
I
might be a discussion. It's cool. It's cool.
might be a concussion. We'll be fine. We'll shake it off. Drink some water. Put put some dirt on it. We'll be all right. I'll just come back in the morning, fresh as a bug. No problem. Man, but no, like I'm very. Sometimes maybe I'd say, man, I'm lucky, man. I never caught nothing. I'm okay. Like I got out unscathed. I have all my faculties. I'm all right. I'm able to think clearly and do things and work, and my memory's good. I'm lucky. Some of my friends, I've seen some of my friends. They, you know, broken foot, broken leg, several concussions that were severe, getting knocked out. I mean, torn ligaments. I've seen some horrific things happen to people I cared about. Um, but I think one of the reasons why I was able to protect myself, it seemed like everybody was bigger than me, better than me, faster, whatever, stronger. I used my brain,
Yeah.
right? I would look for their tendencies when they would be training and sparring other people. I would look for their body language. I'd look, even try to study their speech patterns, because sometimes they'd be talking a certain way before they went to one of their signature moves, or talking a certain way when they were a little bit afraid, right? Or a little bit hesitant, a little bit winded, a little bit tired. I'd study that. Um, Not because anybody told me to, it just made sense to me because I was in sales. That's the kind of stuff I was doing with my customers,
There you go.
right? So the things I was now here's the point, y'all. The things I had been doing in my sales career, I realized that's transferable in the ring to keep me safe and performing at my best. The things I was learning in the ring and in the dojo, oh my God, that's transferable out here in my sales career and in my entrepreneurial journey. Wow, all of this stuff is connected, and I am the same person that is existing in all of these different aspects of life and the world, even though I have to be a different version of myself. Can't be the guy in the ring when I'm talking to a customer at Verizon. I can't be the person that's talking to a customer, at Verizon when I'm in the ring doing what it is I was getting trained to do, right? Those are two different masks I have to wear, but I very much have the same habits.
Yep.
I have the same strengths and the same skill sets. I'm the same person. You're just seeing different versions of me existing in each place so that I can actually thrive there and also keep myself safe, stay okay.
Right.
That's the point.
I just want to go on record of saying that having that wrong mask on in that environment was viral. Like, like
You wouldn't see, but the thing is, it doesn't register to people until you find out the hard way,
I know.
right? If I was the nice, professional, funny, hey, let's get this done type of guy that I was at Verizon, that I was at other sales jobs, competitive, sure. And I brought that into one of those sparring matches. Nice. Let's have fun. Happy to be here. Yeah, let's work hard. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's play nice. Let's get the job done. What do you need from me? Let's solve the problem. I would get smoked.
Oh, for
I
sure.
would have gotten absolutely smoked. So you would think that like being nice and gracious and polite and well mannered, all this stuff, like how is that an issue? Well, all those good qualities all those good qualities will hurt you in certain environments, right? And vice versa. Obviously, I can't have this. It wouldn't be appropriate to have the same bravado um, and trash talking that I would do, and different, things that I would do in the ring with my customers. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody wants to work with someone like that. And
Yeah.
so now it's affecting my livelihood and my ability to take care of myself because nobody wants to work with me.
Yeah.
So even what we typically view as very positive character traits or personality traits, they're not appropriate in certain settings. They just don't fit the puzzle. right? It's not the right puzzle piece. And certain traits that a lot of us think, it's kind of negative, man. I'm like ultra competitive. There's no this is such a like I keep getting told I'm like too much. I'm too extreme. I'm too competitive. I always want to win at everything. Where in the world is that going to fit? It fits in business pretty nicely, actually, if you know how to play nice when you need to, right? That can be a beautiful puzzle piece in the puzzle, but you got to know how to use it. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest takeaway.
It's interesting that you say that because what I found and what I've noticed in myself and in other former athletes, and it's ironic because everything that you work really hard to develop and to build in athletics and sports and performance in the weight room and your eating habits and how you talk, how you think, like just how you walk, the whole thing, right? When
Yeah.
you get out into these other spaces, everything that you used to be glorified for, cheered for, sign this, you're so great, let's take a picture, now has become a negative. Now it's a flaw. Now it's a tone it down, be more relatable, be vulnerable. Just a bunch of things start happening, and you're just like, well, for over the last decade, I've trained myself to have these skills. There's no way these skills are now trash or
Mm,
extinct
mm,
or extinct, I'm sorry, and now void all of a sudden. So if we think about our transferable skills as this conversation flow, transferable skills are somewhat of your utility belt if we're using superhero references here.
mm,
Like, portable power tools, as you can see on the screen, that you carry from one environment to another. And those things can be mentally, they can be hands-on skills, they can be how you see the world, you perceive the world. So your communication habits, your ability to adapt, right? If you're like, let's say you're a soccer player, right? Your ability to adapt, or if you're a quarterback, if you were a quarterback, your ability to recall information. Like think about the playbook that a quarterback has to know and understand. Um, if you're a boxer or MMA fighter, the amount of resilience that you've had to have. So when you move into these new environments, you want to think about and really hone in on what are all the things that I've spent all this time developing, right? Not
mm,
just working out per se, or trying to run faster or trying to develop my lateral movement and efficiency. But let's think about how you think about the world, how you see the world. Start there. And then you can
mm,
start to take some notes on what type of transferable skills am I actually bringing forth here. Because identifying these skills will give you more power, more positioning, and more relevance in your field for what it is you want to do moving forward and for where you currently are. Because sometimes you do need a really solid foundation and starting point before you even know where to go. And a big part of that is self awareness. Now, there's a screen share here. There's a lot of words on this page. There's some data present. There's some things that you can take away. I'm not going to read this screen verbatim because we're not going to insult anybody's intelligence. Everybody who's here can read and can read very clearly. So, what we want to do now is we want to move into some action steps. We want to move into helping you identify and pinpoint some of your skills, some of your strengths. And as you do this, I want you to think about how relevant they will be for your future, but also think about what it is you might be stuck in at the moment. Think about, I really want this type of job. Would really love to make this type of money. I would really love to drive this type of car. I would really love to do this sort of thing for my family, right? And think about what that looks like. Then what we're going to do, if you have a piece of paper, you have something to write with, more of the old school way. We're somewhat dating ourselves here, but we're not that old. But if you have an iPad or if you have notes on your phone or something like that, as long as you can actually stay engaged with the technology as you're doing this, here's our activity. It's going to be a 4-step activity, more so 3 steps here in the moment. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about one past achievement. Doesn't have to be super huge. If it is huge, let it be the biggest one that you have, if that's the one that sticks out in your mind. So think about one past achievement. Think about maybe that time you increased your 1 rep max, or think about that time you ran a little faster in the 40, or think about that time you really held your own on defense in your sport when you've been really struggling to master the defensive side of your sport because you've been more of a scorer. Or vice versa, think about a time where you struggled to score, you struggled at the free throw line, or you struggled to run and adhere in certain schemes of the playbook, and then you finally achieved that. Think about that one achievement, that one thing. And then we're going to reverse engineer. Think about the challenge that you faced on the way to that achievement. So we think about the glory, then we think about the step right before the glory. What was that like? So imagine you're in your own documentary right now, or your own like bio, and you've won the big match, you've won the big round, you've won the big championship. But now think about the scenes right before that championship. What were you doing? Were you running up the hill trying to improve your cardiovascular condition? Were you knocking out those push-ups? Were you eating a bunch of stuff that you probably don't care to eat, but you knew that it was good for your nutrition and recovery? And think about, in regards to something that's movie like, think about those things for yourself. When you wanted to achieve that goal, were you staying up later at night studying? Were you trying to intake a certain amount of water? Were you trying to learn your opponent better, studying film? Were you removing just bad things or bad habits, bad people from your environment? What was that challenge? And be able to name that challenge. All right. So now that you've done that, we've addressed the past achievement. We know what it is we accomplished. And then we're able to put a name on the challenge that we faced in order to get to that achievement. Like, what do we have to overcome to get to that achievement? Now, we're going to take one more step back. Think about and really hone in on the skills that helped you overcome that challenge. So, whatever that challenge was, think about the core skills that you used and deployed in order to overcome the thing that was standing in between you and your achievement. And if you're having a hard time identifying those skills, that's very normal and very natural, because for many of us, maybe you feel like it just happened, or you feel like you just followed instructions given to you by a coach, or you felt like you just did all the work and you just kept going to class, or you just kept drinking water. You're just not really sure, right? So even if you boil it down to task, even if you can list out all the tasks that you to overcome a challenge. Write those tasks down. Write down what you actually did. We can start practical. And then once you write all those tasks down, really dissect those tasks for yourself and ask yourself, who did I have to be in order to complete this task? Right? What frame of mind was I in to complete this task? And then from answering those questions, you'll start to pull out the core skills, the core thought patterns, and core behaviors that helped you overcome your challenges. And once you do that, and we call them core skills because those are things, believe it or not, that are still with you. If you achieve something, you overcame that challenge and you did certain things skill wise and habit wise to overcome that challenge, that's something that's still inside of you, sports or not. And that's what we have to take with us in our everyday life. So as you do that, repeat and think about something else you accomplished. And as you continue to think about more and more things you accomplish, make sure, even though we're all athletes here, right? And we're all in that frame of mind and we love that, think about other things in your life. Like think about the one time you really made your spouse happy or your partner happy, or think about that one time you really got your kid to smile, or for me, right? When I finally got my daughter to go to bed, you know,
Oh God, don't start. Don't.
that's that's was an achievement. You know, that was a
Ah,
real that was a real achievement.
man, I
I can
started
tell you,
sweating.
I can tell you, man, I had to use some transferable skills and some resilience
Man,
to
oh
get
man,
her to to stop challenging me on going to bed.
yeah,
I have to really figure that out. When we talk about, playing the game of football, like you have to study your opponent. She was my
that's
opponent
right.
for 2 years.
That's
You
right.
know, it
That's right.
was it was something. But now that I'm settled into that, and now that
Hmm.
I own that, I see how that same core skill shows up in other areas of my
Hmm.
life, and how
Yeah.
in times where I might feel in doubt or you may feel in doubt, I want you to really repeat steps 1 through 3 here that we're
Hmm.
discussing and that you see on
Hmm.
the screen to really give yourself that self-assurance, that motivation, and that sense of power.
I'm gonna teach all of you, whoever ends up watching this, one of the most important things I can ever teach anybody, because I know what an impact it made on me is I call it the art of the reframe, right? I'll give you a perfect example. So you can reframe something positive that happened to you and make it into something negative. Plenty of us do that, but if you can get good at taking something that seems to feel stressful or negative or whatever and turn it into something positive, man, you're going to change your whole life. We're going to use JB's example because I can relate to that. Kid doesn't want to go to sleep. Got
Yep.
school in the morning, daycare, whatever. Dad's got to work. I got a million things to do. I got to get you down so I could finish more of my work or get a workout in. Or hell, I got to sleep. I got work in the morning or class or whatever, right? And a lot of times this battle, and it's very stressful. Bedtime a lot of times sucks, man, because the kid is just like, but I want to play and I want to watch TV. And why are you putting me down? I was having such a great day, and you're like the enemy right now. You're telling me to do something I have zero desire to do. I would rather pass out from exhaustion than listen to you, Dad, and go to sleep voluntarily. You're the bad guy. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm not doing any of this. And that goes on for an hour or two every day for 2 years, sometimes longer.
Right.
Here's something I had to force myself to do, though. I was getting so frustrated with my son, dude. I was like, why? Why does this kid not listen to me? Why? Why? Because I'm so fucking tired right now. I'm
Right.
so tired. I can't do this until 10 o'clock at night anymore. Jesus, I can't. What do I? Finally, I broke down. One day, I almost had a meltdown. I said, my son's name is Braylon. I said, Brain, dude, why do we have to fight about this every day? Please, like, tell me why you don't want to go to sleep.
Mhm.
Please,
Yep.
I'm on your side. I don't want to get mad at you. Tell me why you don't want to go to sleep. I learned this in sales. That's how you get the customer to actually open up. Tell me what you need me to do. I'll do it. Right? If I
Mhm.
can't do it, I'm gonna tell you straight up, and we can stop wasting time. Right? Just get to it. Tell me what you need. My
Mhm.
son, in all of his innocence, looks at me, dead serious, and as a matter of factly, immediately says, "Because, Dad, I love hanging out with you and spending time with you. I don't
Mhm.
want to go to sleep." And dude, I'm trying not to start crying like an idiot. Um, when he said that to me, again, it was so matter of fact. It made me realize, oh, I'm he feels like I am sick of spending time with him,
Mhm.
and I'm like asking to stop. And his little brain doesn't understand that when tomorrow comes, I'm gonna love hanging out with you then too.
Mhm.
He thinks the fun has to stop. He's having so much fun hanging out with me and talking to me. It doesn't make sense to him to have to stop that. Oh, okay. So from that point on, a few times I'd have a discussion. Hey, when tomorrow gets here and that sound machine in your room changes colors to green, or you wake up, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get you. We're going to have a blast. We're going to get ready for school. It's going to be great. I can't
Right.
wait. But you need, dude, you got to get some rest, or you're not going to be able to learn and have fun in kindergarten or at that time, preschool. Oh, okay, Dad. And it was so much easier. Just alleviating that concern of, no, dude, I love hanging out with you, but we can't do this all night. You're not going to be okay in the morning, neither am I. And then we're not going to feel good, and we're not really going to be excited to play with each other because we're going to be exhausted. Is that what you want? No, I guess I'll get some rest, and I want to play with you tomorrow too. Okay. Begrudgingly
Right.
reframe, right? And I just, it really got to me like, wow, he loves spending time with me and hanging out with me, doesn't want it to stop.
Mhm.
That's that's the thing, right? So the reframe. Whatever's happening to you, it's probably a good thing. You just have to learn how to look at it like that, you know?
Right. So, and it's great that you brought up reframing because if you're struggling to name, if you're struggling to really identify things that are happening, it can make you feel like the skills that you do have are either pointless or they're just null and void most of the time. And if you're just now recently transitioning out of your sport, you could definitely, even with all the support in the world, still not, number one, know what it is you want to do, not know how to get there. And even if you know exactly what you want to do and what is needed to get there, you have no idea how to do it based on who you are. So, in order for us to overcome this barrier, we do have a transferable skills power sheet for download, complimentary on us. Okay, it's going to be available depending on where you're watching this. It will be available somewhere in the description box or somewhere in the chat box for you to click and download. It's a PDF, no catch, no gimmicks, no your email and gonna blow you up later. None of that.
You're not going to go into our funnel and then we're going to hammer you with emails 4 times a day trying to upsell you into some freaking nonsense. Don't get me triggered. We're just trying to help. Nobody wants to shove stuff in your face all day for the next 4 years. So full
Right.
transparency, just trying to help.
Gotcha. For sure.
God,
Man.
I got so triggered. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, bro. You're good.
Jesus.
So yeah. So yeah, for those who are here, transferable skills power sheet is an activity worksheet that helps you break down where some of your core strengths and core powers might lie. I would also really empower you to look at those free complimentary self-assessments, those professional skills assessments that are available online. I know just off the top of my head, Gallup is a really good one.
Yeah. Yep.
I5 is also really good. A lot of people, not some, a lot of people really like the DISC assessment as well.
Mm.
So those are some that you can look into. And also, if you're interested in keeping up with us, not just Brian and I, but the entire athlete community on our private Facebook group for fellowship and just to connect with other former athletes, to see the event updates that we have coming up, we're going to be hosting a ton of virtual offerings, workshops, guest hosts, features from other former athletes at all levels, even some current athletes who may want to come and chime in and kick it with us for a little bit. Come join our private Facebook group. We're going to leave that link for you in the description so you can just click it. It'll take you straight to Facebook. You'll go ahead and add to the group. You'll fill out, I think it's 3 questions. You just ask you what sports you played and how serious you are about engaging with us. And that's all you got. Pretty simple. Um, if you would also love to support our digital front footprint, which is our Instagram and our website, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Athlete. I will link that down below. And also visit our website, our nonprofit website. If we did not make that very clear in the beginning, Athlete is a nonprofit organization, 501(c)(3). So we would definitely love your support. We would definitely love you to share anything that you have that you feel resonates with you. We would love for you to tell everybody you know about us, but very specifically those people who you think can benefit from the message and the offer that we have with an athlete, from ourselves as founders and directors, but more importantly, our community and those shared stories and experiences. So
And
just
also,
go ahead, bro.
also let's not forget, JB, if you're interested in I just thought about this. If you're interested in potentially speaking,
Yeah,
come on in. We'd love to feature you. We could figure out what the workshop would revolve around that, ties into your strengths, into your expertise. We'd love to have thought leaders come on in, who used to have that sports background, and are effectively navigating their next chapter. We'd love to have y'all come on in and share your insights, your knowledge, your wisdom, some practical strategies and tips and things that could benefit our community members. We're always looking for sharp, talented people, that kind of fit that mold and that background. We'd love to have you. Um, Please DM me or JB about that, and you know, we would just love to have you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And to make it very simple, if you're here and you're listening, if you can see us, if you can type, if you're interested in having us come out and doing an in-person workshop or hosting something virtually for your organization or team, just leave us the comment team somewhere in the chat box or the comment box. If you're interested in maybe becoming an official affiliate, partner, or sponsor with Athlete, to do some things right on the side of us at big workshops or at retreats, things of that nature, professional development seminars, or if you would just see yourself as a sponsor for the cause, make sure you comment partner in the chat and we'll send you a specific email on what exactly that looks like. And then lastly, if you would prefer to donate, if you have it in your spirit to donate and make a financial contribution, no matter how small, let us know by saying donate in the chat box or the description box somewhere, depending on where you're watching this video. And we will reach out to you with our donation options and packages, and we'll move forward from there. I don't have anything else except to let everyone know who watched this all the way through the end that we thoroughly appreciate your investment. We love that you're a part of this community, whether you've joined the Facebook group or you've made a donation, or if this is your first time being here or not, we consider you a part of this community. We consider you an important piece of the puzzle to the thing that we are trying to build, the full scope here. So we definitely appreciate everything that you've done, giving us your ear, giving us your eyes if you're here watching this on the screen with us, and make sure that you take away some of those complimentary things from us so that it can help you in your life moving forward. Brian, did you have anything else for the group?
No, just wanted to tell everybody out there I love y'all. Thanks for taking the time with us and being on the journey with us and for being here. It's going to be an amazing ride. We're just getting started, y'all. We have so many wonderful things we want to do for our communities. So many things that we want to do to support our people, our athletes. Um, Man, I can't wait. I'm happy to be here with everybody. And stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline that we're excited about, and that we want to do for y'all. This is just the first of many.